home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Trevor fires from the back of the end zone, and that ball is going to be caught for the touchdown by Brian Thomas Jr. What a throw and catch. He tiptoed along the end line. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Fires deep downfield. Got a man. It's Brian Thomas Jr. 50 in the Colts territory. 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Thomas Jr. Just went 85 yards.
He's a playmaker. That's what stands out to me. It's just not one thing. We all know he's fast. I can't really point to his releases. I can't really point to how he comes out of his routes. He just makes plays.
Looking, steps up, fires to the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. Did he double catch it? Yes, it is. Touchdown. He bobbled it, but hung on. Brian Thomas Jr. has the score, and Jacksonville is taking the lead.
Yeah, he's only going to get better once he masters his craft as far as his stance off the line, as far as come off the ball. You'll see in games to come, he'll get better, and even next year, he's going to be that much better than he is right now. Right now, he's just getting his feet wet and showing us what he can do. So I'm looking for this guy to be a big-time playmaker for us in the years to come, and I'm glad to have him part of the Jaguars.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome into Jaguars Today on this bright and fresh Monday. It's not bright outside, Tony, but it's a bright outlook for Jaguar fans as they have uprooted the front office and coaching staff and gone with the heavy youth movement with the final piece in place, James Gladstone being hired on Friday officially to be the next general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He'll speak in just under an hour from now, and you'll hear that here live on 1010XL, Tone. So all in all, the last guy who got in all the interviews, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, general manager, ultimately got the job.
Mm-hmm. And we'll give the PSA now because I know people will be asking on the text line when we get there anyway.
Oh, yes, please do.
You will not be able to stream the press conference at 11 o'clock on anything. The only way you'll be able to hear it, right, is over the air. But you go to Jaguars.com if you want to see it online in any way. We're not allowed to stream it, so you can hear it on the air as we'll be carrying it. But if you are listening on a device anywhere, you're going to have to go to Jaguars.com in order to hear it.
Correct. You can always, tune into our app, but if you're on the app, you're not going to get it there either. So it's just, if you're listening in your car, we'll have it for you as you're driving around. Yeah. Right. If you're watching the show live. But you're right. We cannot, I don't think it'll be on the YouTube stream.
It won't be on anything. Like, it'll only be on the on-air.
Jaguars YouTube channel.
Correct.
Not on the 1010XL channel.
So don't call me. If you want to watch it, or do it through your phone, do it however, other than through your radio, you can go to Jaguars.com for that. And hopefully you can come back for some post-press conference recap.
Sure.
I don't know how long it's going to go. We'll probably hear him speak for a few minutes and then take some questions from the assembled media down there. And the big question we have for you today, Jaguar fans, and it seems to be overwhelmingly positive, but what is your reaction to James Gladstone, 34 years young, being named as the newest general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars? And he has worked with Liam Cohen before. You're getting some of that Rams brain trust over this way. James Gladstone in 2016 got hired to be a senior assistant to the GM in Los Angeles. Then in 2018, he added player personnel coordinator to his job description and then became the director of scouting strategy there in 2019. During the time he has been with the Rams, or was with the Rams, they won 4 division titles, appeared in the postseason 6 times. They won a Super Bowl. So he's got a lot of that obviously going for him. You hope some of that rubbed off here. And so what did he have to do with it, Tony? He himself described his role with the Rams, saying that he handled day-to-day scouting and football operations, evaluating players, and acting as the liaison between the scouting department and the organization. So I think he's seen all aspects of player procurement. Les Snead raves about him. So does Sean McVay. Then interesting to see a team happy for one of their workers get an opportunity to better themselves in another market, take a bigger, more important job. And again, it is interesting because I heard the guys talking about it this morning. Cohen answers to Shad Khan. Gladstone answers to Shad Khan. Yeah. Tony Baselli answers to Shad Khan. Will that, yes, in bottom line, but is there going to be some more, kind of day-to-day thing where Tony Baselli is in charge of monitoring everything that's going on? I don't know. I don't think Liam Cohen will answer to him, but does he need to, does Tony Baselli need to be aware of everything that's going on in that building to make sure that it's going in the direction that the ownership and the franchise needs it to go in?
Yeah, I'm not sure. How any of that side of any of this is going to work. I would assume that everyone's going to be reporting to Khan.
That's what they've said.
Yeah, in whatever is going on with it, and that when it comes to the draft and those kind of decisions, I think Cohen probably gets the last word on it. Right, but it's not for sure. We don't know exactly how that's going to work at this point either, but I would assume Cohen's going to get the last word on it. It is nice to see, the organization out there in Los Angeles, they're not looking to move past Snead, and they shouldn't be.
Right.
So, but they're also not looking to get in the way of anybody else. Tampa, all of their frustration is they're confused on what the heck to do with Cohen at this point. Like, they felt the pressure of, do we need to make him the coach now? If we're going to make a commitment,
their fan base wanted them
right?
To do
like
that.
If we're going to keep him around long term, it feels like we have to make a move now to make him the head coach. But they weren't willing to move off Todd Bowles, which I'm fine with. Bowles has been successful as the head coach for Tampa Bay. It's okay if that's the decision you make, but don't get upset with the guy that you might have been considering to be your next head coach gets the opportunity to be a head coach somewhere, and you're upset that he wants to go be a head coach. I appreciate the Rams organization for being. Look, we really like Les Snead, and we're not looking to move past Les Snead. This young guy, he's talented. We're pulling for him. Right, go. Do what you got to do. Go be a GM. We'll see how successful or unsuccessful he'll be doing it. But no, teams shouldn't get in the way of that kind of situation, especially their young guys being given the opportunity to move up and prosper in their career. Obviously, we're all hoping that Gladstone does as a general manager. I hope he's got some of whatever Les Snead has. Right, as a GM. Hope that rubbed off on him in the years that he spent over there in L.A. That would all be dividends for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And that was a team that didn't have a lot of first-round capital for a while, right? They made the Matt Stafford deal. They were not opposed. They made the Jalen Ramsey deal. They weren't afraid of trading out of the first round entirely and staying competitive. You saw Matt Miller probably tweet out over the weekend from ESPN that basically, I'm paraphrasing, gone are the days of drafting off of measurables in Jacksonville and more on finding guys who can come in and play football in the National Football League and can help you right away. Not necessarily projects based on traits and arm length and all those different kind of things that Trent Baalke so loved that much. Humble Forever on Twitter said that they're all first-time hires. What could go wrong? Well, you're right. I mean, they're all first-time hires, so there is a high degree of risk that comes with that tone. But I think that, for most Jaguar fans, they're willing to roll the metaphorical franchise dice on that risk because what else have they gotten? They went the tried and true method, right? They went with, you call him a retread. I called him a Super Bowl winning coach. I was all for the Doug Peterson hire. He wasn't my top choice in that cycle. I like Jim Caldwell, but I was happy with Peterson, and the initial results were fantastic.
Sure.
Right? But they've done that, been there, done that, and it felt stale. The longer it went on with Doug Peterson in terms of offensive philosophy and play calling, and I get it, was he calling the plays or not? It was more the system, no matter who was calling them, the offense got more rote, more predictable. It felt like Trent Baalke's been around the block forever. What did it get you? It doesn't matter. You got young, bright, I assume, people coming in at all these different positions. Of course, the one guy who's not new is Heath Farwell, who did a hell of a job as a special teams coordinator. So they're smart enough not to try to reinvent every aspect of the wheel there by keeping him here. But, I think most fans are willing to see what the new young mindset brings this football team to kind of break the shackles of some of the patterns they've been in recent years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how anyone could know what the plan is going to be going into the offseason for the team. And what, we've had the conversations about Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, and we have fans, including a couple on the text line. I saw someone just a moment ago saying it's time to move off Gabe Davis and ETN. It's like, well, good luck moving off Gabe Davis, right? Like, no one's giving you anything for Gabe Davis. But I don't know what the plan looks like for the Jaguars in this offseason, but I know who's calling the plays. Right? Like, I know the head guy, I know whatever that is, that there is clarity on at least that level of thing. I am still, as I sit here, surprised that we ever had any lack of clarity with that with Doug Peterson here. Right? Like, I'm still surprised that was part of his tenure here as the head coach in Jacksonville. Why was anyone ever having to question who was calling plays and who should?
Us.
Right. Like, it's
if you stand behind your decision, just tell us.
Right. And it never was, he was never willing to just say straight up, this is what we're doing. This is why we're going to be doing it this way. All right. If you believe in Press Taylor, that's fine. That's your prerogative as the head coach to make those kinds of calls. But when we hear from the owner, like, I'd like to be the coach, have the coach calling the plays. That's my preference. If the owner is expressing that preference, what is happening that the coach that he's expressing that preference about isn't willing to say the words about who was calling plays?
I think part of it is probably he just didn't want to have the stories written where Doug Peterson defies owners' wishes, right? You know what I mean? Like even though Sean Khan said it's fully within his purview to do what he wants, he's the head coach, but I absolutely have a preference. So not surprising that it went down the way it did after the terrible season they had, but all that, for the most part, in the past, and we've got new coach, new staff underneath.
I don't know what any of them are going to do, but I at least feel like there's clarity in the organization, right? I don't think they're confused about whatever they're going to do. Like, I do feel like it feels like there is momentum in this offseason for the Jaguars, and I don't know that I've ever really felt that momentum in the previous head coaching cycles, and that's in part because with Peterson, even as I was very on board with them bringing in Peterson, but it was still, they're keeping Balky, okay. Right? Like that kind of thing. It did feel like a stop, like hitting the brakes a little bit on whatever the momentum was. This offseason, it does feel different with them bringing in a new GM, new head coach, new coordinators on both sides, the same special teams coordinator, but he's been awesome. And Tony Baselli's part of the organization now. Mm-hmm. Like, it does feel like there is some kind of momentum for the Jags going into 2025 that I don't think they've had. Not like this.
By the way, how old is Gabe Davis?
28?
25.
Oh, my gosh.
Gabe Davis is 25 years old.
Please put it together, man.
Okay, he'll turn 26 in April. Yeah. And the reason I say is, like, he will be here unless they find a trade partner. They're not going to cut him. No. Because it would cost them an additional, like, $14 million against the cap. So even if he's got to earn his reps or whatever, but he's still a 25-year-old wide receiver who has had some success in the National Football League. I don't think it's crazy to think that Gabe Davis can put together a solid complimentary season this year. I'm not saying be a star, but he's been a good complimentary player in the past in the National Football League. We'll see down the line. All these guys like James Gladstone will have a big say in putting this roster together in its final form this year. But again, if you just look at the contract status of Gabe Davis and the dead cap hit you would take for moving on from him, it seems overwhelmingly likely that he'll be a part of the mix this year. So what we'll do today, we're going to time this up so we can hit the press conference pretty close to straight up at 11 o'clock. James Gladstone will speak down at the Miller Electric Center today. So today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day, simply asking you your reaction to the Jags naming him as the general manager. Doesn't have to be a positive one. We'd like to hear from all aspects and all angles of the thought process out there in the listener group and Jaguar fandom. So hit us up today at 641-1010 on the phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Duval.
Yes, Dylan, Denmark. How was your weekend? Everything good?
It was good, man. You know what I just thought about? I don't think I've ever heard Trent Baalke say Duval.
Duval. Too cool for school. I don't know, man. I don't know if I ever have either. I don't know if he was ever in a
setting to do it?
Yeah, kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I feel you. We better get one today, though.
I hope we get one today. I hope we get a well-practiced one today. Let's just put it at that. All right. So, a lot to get to. Less than an hour away from James Gladstone being introduced officially as the next general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. As Tony has pointed out, if you listen to this show anyway, other than directly over the radio, we're not going to carry the press conference streaming. You can hear that at Jaguars.com. If you're in your car, if you're listening on a radio in your office, whatever the case, that will you'll be able to hear that here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. So we're ready to roll. Fresh week, new GM. Let's go. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 weight loss into their 11th year as just a screaming success in the weight loss industry. Their founder, Paige, over a decade ago, developed a long-term solution for weight loss that could work for anyone, cutting through the misconceptions of lose weight, quick gadgets, fad diets, medications, and in the process, completely revolutionizing the weight loss industry with real results. Most importantly, lasting results. That's right. Free support for life was and still is the backbone of the Awaken 180 program. And over 10 years later, 23,000 clients have lost a combined 750,000 pounds. Along the way, getting healthier, eliminating the need for cholesterol medications, blood pressure medications, sometimes even type 2 diabetes medications. People like me, your neighbors, your friends, your family want to take back control of their weight, health, happiness. You can do it all with Awaken 180 weight loss. Free coaching and support for life. Once you hit your goal weight, schedule a free consultation online today at awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your home for Florida Gators basketball is 1010XL.
The second-ranked Gators battle the Bulldogs on their trek to the top. Florida, Georgia. Tomorrow at 7 on 1010 AM.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dream Finders Homes.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Basketball is back as Division I college basketball takes center stage with the UNF Ospreys. Osprey basketball returns home to UNF Arena this Wednesday, February 26th, against Eastern Kentucky. North Florida is back home Wednesday, February 26th, against EKU. Tip-off scheduled for 7. Visit UNFOspreys.com/buy tickets now to secure your seats. UNFOspreys.com/buy tickets now. Swoop!
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, what's the matter?
I don't know about this air conditioner, Jason.
You know, my job is actually to...
I mean, 1 minute it's working, and the next minute it's not working. And every time I leave the house, I don't know if I'm coming back to a nice, cool oasis or a steaming cesspool of sweaty garbage fumes and dog farts, and then I'll never get to sleep. And I'll be too late to call someone. And what if I've got a big meeting the next morning and I haven't slept a wink?
Okay, dude. Stay cool. Or at least stay cooler.
But
Bueller Air and Plumbing can figure out why your AC only works sometimes and not all the time. We fix that kind of stuff every day.
You mean you can...
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all your time worrying about an air conditioner that can totally be fixed, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
Soccer continues to grow on the First Coast, and so does the need for better coverage. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley
on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour, Tuesday nights at 6
on 10:10 a.m.
Hey folks, Nick here for Zero Res, and if you still have a little bit of time for the hottest price of the year on carpet cleaning, maybe you had people over for the game or you're doing early spring cleaning, but in February, only $147 for 3 rooms, plus the 4th room is free. That's right. Schedule now, and you'll get 3 rooms for $147, and the 4th room is free. Yeah, the 4th room is on me. Hottest price of the year. Zero Res. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
CEROREZ. Zero Res.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, James Gladstone, 40 minutes away, a little under that. We'll keep reminding you we will only carry that over the radio airwaves. Will not be streamed here on 1010XL. If you want to stream it at Jaguars.com, and we'll have the on-air broadcast for you. Frank and Hayes headed out to Indianapolis, or headed up, I guess, to Indianapolis, either way, today. And they'll do the Frangie Show live from Indy. The Combine gets underway this week. Obviously, Mia O'Brien's going to be at the Miller Electric Center for the James Gladstone presser. She'll join the fellows out there, and we'll be broadcasting live for Helmets and Heels out there for the next several days as well. And we'll have a few visits out there. Tomorrow, Liam Cohen speaks at 11 o'clock, Tony, and James Gladstone speaks again. Going to want to hear what he has to say both days, not just today. So we'll probably carry that stuff for you both live if we're able to on 1010XL.
Yeah, usually the GM's not being named 3 days before they go to the Combine.
Right.
That's usually not how this works. It's been a few weeks since you've even wanted to hear from the GM, essentially in most NFL cities, but your first opportunity would be at the NFL Combine. That's just not how the timing worked out for the Jaguars this year.
Quite frankly, I think a lot of teams would have just said, all right, we're going to the Combine. You can talk to them at the Combine, right? But I think this is the Jags trying to be, appreciative of the local media and therefore the local audience, the local fan base here to hear, very team specific, I can say the word specific things. Instead of, sometimes you get in there And, you might get a national guy, and he's asking about what do you think about the strength of the draft class and different things like that and all that.
Yeah.
That might not be as interesting.
Yeah, and look, that's how the combine stuff always works. There'll be someone that's working on whatever they're working on for whatever reason, and they'll ask coaches and GMs questions that are going to be helping whatever story they're chasing, that kind of thing. It makes sense from a Jaguars perspective that, you want the new GM to be announced with the owner and the head coach and the new EVP, like all these people to be in the same room at the same time to answer questions about, we're at the end of this process, right, of figuring out what is everything going to look like going into the 2025 season for the Jags. We finally reached the end of that process. Get everybody in a room together to answer questions about what's been going on, for the last month, about how they put this whole thing together. It's good, right? It makes sense. And if they were just doing it at the combine, that wouldn't be what would be going on at the combine, right? They're limited in time. You have people that are going to be asking questions that aren't going to be directly Jaguars related. It makes sense if you're only announcing it 3-4 days beforehand to still give the local people, the fans, basically the opportunity to have the questions asked that should be asked. There's pretty good odds that they won't be asked if all you had was the combine. That's the first time that we heard from Gladstone. You're not going to hear all the questions that you're going to hear today in a couple days of the combine. Like, that's just not the way that's going to work out. So good for the team for doing it this way.
Let's see. Somebody asking on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, does it matter that Cohen and Gladstone work for the Rams together? Would they really have had enough in their roles that they would provide to be a benefit here? In other words, how much overlap? Maybe not that much, but there's probably some degree of familiarity. I'm sure a couple of youngish guys in the building, right? And would imagine they've spent some degree of time together and have some kind of relationship together. So I don't think it means they're going to be thinking with the same brain cell all the time, but it probably eases the transition to some degree. And we'll probably hear a little bit about that today. Just how close were you and Liam Cohen in your time with Los Angeles? And, is he a guy you text with regularly, a guy you stay in touch with? Because I do think coaches have their circle, and front office people, they all have their circle of people that they bounce ideas off of. Not that they're going to say, hey, should we draft this player? Going with somebody with a different team's opinion on that. But just talking about the business of the NFL and trends and things like that, at least I would presume a lot of that stuff goes on.
Yeah, it was interesting when we talked to D-Rock on Friday here on the show, right? And I asked him about what would be your first question for the new GM. This was before we knew exactly who that was going to be, but the way he answered was with the assumption that it was Gladstone, right? Because he said, how do you bring the LA thing here? That was his first question. And I thought it was interesting that D-Rock was locked in on Gladstone being the guy before it got announced. I was like, oh, he's got a pretty good idea of the direction, the way these things are going. And it made sense. Like, the last guy you talk to, there's a reason generally they're the last guy you talk to. It's like, I lost my keys. Where did I find them? The last place I looked.
Last place you looked,
right? Like
sure.
That kind of thing. Things tend to work out that way. So it made sense to think Gladstone was going to be where the process ended. But yeah, I mean, that is the big thing. Can he bring? And I think it's okay to look at Cohen had some of that LA success too, right? Like, he was there for part of what the LA Rams were doing. So those two guys, whatever they were doing, their working relationship, who knows what that looked like. But how do you bring that here? And how do you bring what Cohen's done, as the offensive coordinator last year with Tampa Bay? How do you bring that here? Like, the impact that's going to have on Trevor, all these questions that we have. We don't know what the long-term answers on any of those things are, but they are the questions that everyone has. And they're the reasons why fans are excited about the process. Right at this point, it's like, oh, they can bring the LA thing here. They can bring that success that Baker Mayfield was having here with our guy. Like, that's the reasons for the excitement, I think, in the fan base right now.
Sure. And I think with Ian Cunningham, there would have been excitement. There was some already questioning. Like I get some of these other guys.
Yeah.
Guy from the Packers, guy from the 49ers, guy from the Rams, the teams that have been consistently successful in recent memory. And so I thought it was a fair question, but just because, like James Gladstone is not responsible for all the successes of the Rams.
No.
Ian Cunningham's not responsible for all the shortcomings of the Bears either, right?
No.
Doesn't mean you can't be a bright guy, but Ian Cunningham, and who knows, he may get the next job he interviews for, but this has been multiple times he's interviewed for a GM job around the National Football League and hasn't gotten it. You want, at a certain point, you wonder when he's going to be able to break through, Tony, or will this, go down the road? Who's the OC of the Kansas City Chiefs? Eric Bieniemy. Thank you. Just went right out of my head. That would always be in the cycle. It seems like he deserves to be there under consideration. He's attached to this really successful aspect of the Chiefs organization and never could break through and get a head coaching job. I don't know if Ian Cunningham's a bad interviewer or not, or James Gladstone, just the guy that blew them all out of the water, quite frankly. And again, with no personal animus towards Ethan Waugh, who I don't know at all. I just wanted a fresh start. If Ethan Waugh is a part of this going forward, and he's going to be a part of the organization, he's under contract, and he's the interim GM right now, and he's going to have a role to play, fine. I'm okay with that because the lead guy in the department is going to bring fresh and completely new ideas to the team. All right, we'll take a time out here. When we come back, Tony will take us around the NFL, and just about 30 minutes away from hearing from James Gladstone, Jaguars' newest general manager hire, and you'll hear that coming up on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
And on the 8th day, God created 1010XL. And he was pleased.
It's a miracle!
This is outrageous! But it sounded good.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Dreamfinders Homes Monday on Jaguars Today.
DUI? Don't stress. Call me Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
I'm Ben from Beard's Diamonds. My father and I buy our stones direct from the diamond cutters. No middleman, no big company overhead, no commission salespeople, and we pass the savings on to you. Before you buy anywhere else, remember, Beard's Diamonds will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 16617881, subject to lender approval, NMLS, consumeraccess.org.
Chose C for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. They can transform your backyard with fire pits, pergolas, screen enclosures, and outdoor kitchens. And CSS handles the entire project from start to finish. You dream it, they build it. CSSOutdoor.com.
Staying Alive, one night of the Bee Gees comes to the Jacksonville Center for Performing Arts Thursday, March 6th as part of the FSCJ Artist Series. For a chance to win tickets, text PLAYLIST to the text line covered by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010.
When it rains, it better drain. If storm drains on your commercial property aren't doing their job, this is a major liability that needs to be corrected. Call Duck Duck Rooter to have your storm drains jetted and cleaned with our powerful vac con truck. We'll clear the way for better drainage. Call 904-862-6769. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. Duck Duck Rooter, your fully insured certified plumbing and underground utility contractor.
Hi, Jags fans. Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Lauren from Helmets and Heels wishing you a happy new year. Start 2025 off strong by giving your car the expert care it truly deserves at Big Chief Tire. Their skilled technicians will keep your vehicle running smoothly all year long, whether you're commuting, traveling, or just cruising around town. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule an appointment and start the new year off right. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
If you're listening to 1010 and you're a parent, chances are your kids are playing sports. Well, check out i9sports.com with spring and summer registration open right now, including all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. i9sports.com, enter 1010 for a discount.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, James Gladstone being introduced in about 25 minutes. You'll hear that introductory press conference over the airwaves of 1010XL 92.5 FM. If you're looking to stream on one of the Jaguar platforms, jaguars.com, their YouTube, Twitter, what have you. And they'll have that for you. We're glad to have you on board with us this morning. New era for Jaguar football. Another piece put in place. I wouldn't say it's the final piece put in place, Tony, because, A, we're going to probably see some turnover in the scouting department once we get past the draft. But even beyond that, the most important pieces are going to be the guys we put on the football field, ultimately, because it really doesn't matter who the name is on the GM jersey, so to speak. I know there's no jersey, people. But, you know, like, did it matter that Trent Baalke took Brian Thomas Jr.? He was really good, right? Did it matter if Trent Baalke picked another player, didn't make him good? He had plenty of misses. My point being, once you take them, doesn't matter who took them, matters what they do at that point in time. So a lot of stuff going on around the National Football League. Probably busiest right here, though, as everyone's getting ready to go to the Combine. But let's check in with those other teams.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The LA Rams have granted quarterback Matthew Stafford and his representation permission to talk to other teams around the league, with the initial reports indicating that the Rams aren't looking to necessarily trade Stafford, but could be looking for an idea of what his market value could be. Stafford is set to count for $47.9 million against the Rams cap in 2025. That number could essentially be cut in half if he is cut or traded with a post-June 1 designation. Several teams cut players on Friday as teams start to put their offseason plans into effect. Cincinnati released defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins 1 year into a 2-year deal he signed last offseason. Chicago released tight end Gerald Everett and defensive end DeMarcus Walker. And Carolina released cornerback Dane Jackson. Quarterback Shedeur Sanders will not be working out on the field at this week's NFL Combine up in Indianapolis. He will be there to interview with teams. And the NFL Competition Committee is considering expanding the use of expedited review to include more situations which reportedly could include some objective aspects of officiating, such as roughing the passer, among other things. The committee is also considering changes to the new kickoff rule, with Falcons CEO Rich McKay telling reporters yesterday that they are considering moving touchbacks out from the 30 to the 35-yard line and or moving the kickoff spot from the 30 back to the 25-yard line.
Right, which I guess either one would probably
moving the kickoff back makes more sense to me.
To some degree, but I guess because you're still going to have from that range guys that can boot it into the end zone. So I think if you move it back 5 yards to kickoff, the actual spot from the kick, I don't know if it's going to increase the amount of returns all that greatly.
I think if you do both, then you're actually giving a benefit to the teams that have a kicker that can do it. Right? Like at least potential. Like if you do both.
You mean move it back and put it out to the 35 on a touchback? See, I think the 35 on the touchback negates the kicker advantage. I don't think teams are going to be wanting to kick it through the end zone as much if you make it that. If you're trying to force more kickoffs, I think that aspect of it,
you may be right.
Give them the ball after a touchback at the 35.
I am pro the kickoff being back as a play in the game. Like I got real bored with kickoffs forever. I was hopeful that them changing the kickoff rules would make it more viable in the game again. I am pro whatever's going to get more people returning kicks. That is what I am in favor of because I think it's an exciting play if it's allowed to be a play in the game. So make it where, yes, they are returning kicks. Virtually every time you kick off, you have a return. I think that being back in the game would be a good thing, ultimately.
Yeah, you're probably right. It just is not like high on my
No, but they're not going to change many things. Like them talking about reviewing roughing the passer is a much bigger impact, right, in my mind. And I hope that is something that ultimately they add to. They can review that so easy. We called it. We're going to look again. No, that's not really roughing the passer. Move on, right? Like I think those kind of things being added to the game, I'm fine with any of those kind of changes they make. And I think they have a much bigger impact on everybody if that's the direction they go.
All right, 641-1010 if you want to get in before the presser or maybe afterwards if there's something you want to comment on that you hear, depending on how long it runs. I have no idea how long it's going to run today. I don't think he's going to speak, James Gladstone, all that long. He'll make a few comments, open it up to questions. Maybe it'll be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and the whole thing is done. Sure. Could go 30. Either way, we'll carry it for you here on 1010XL. This one, Tony, from Johnny Two Barrels on Twitter. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's nice to see a clean overhaul and trying to be innovative for once. Even if it fails, it won't be because something new wasn't tried, and it won't be because of one man trying to cover his own butt over seeing the franchise succeed, meaning, I presume, Trent Baalke. Okay, so on the text line, it is not from the same person, I presume, but I think the Jaguars made a great hire. The problem with the Jaguars right now is that their organizational structure is not good. Everybody is reporting directly to Mr. Clueless, which I suppose is their name for Shad Khan. Here's what I would say. After it took a lot of cajoling, it took a lot of browbeating, it took a lot of whatever for Shad Khan to finally move, but he has moved off of that, kind of stuck in the mud stance. I mean, look where we might have been. I saw somebody tweet out, I don't remember who it was, over the weekend. Something like, man, imagine we could be sitting here with Baalke and Todd Monken trying to convince ourselves that things are going to be different now. And they're really not going to be all that different. But so Shad Khan has shaken from that pattern that he was in, that just take the next guy or the next guy even in the building. Like, okay, we got rid of Baalke. Ethan Wall's the next man up, right? Because that was Baalke was the next man up to Dave Caldwell. But I'll say, to me, the reporting structure, to me, is more about not putting one guy over the other guy, right? I mean, this may be coach-centric we've talked about, and I think Liam Cohen, it has to be because they hired him and he gave input on the GM, but I don't think that means that Liam Cohen has the final say on every single thing that happens with this team. And I think to avoid having that power struggle, your report to Shad Khan, I think it's going to be, you're going to hear the word collaborative or collaboration a ton.
I think that listeners' reaction to that is overblown.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Like in a very large... You're concerned that Shad Khan somehow his fingers are all over football decisions based on what? Do you have that fear? Right? Like, it's not like we're all saying, well, now Shad Khan has figured out football. We've all been saying they have to figure out a system where they need to be they need no dependence on Shad Khan for any of the football stuff, money stuff. That's Shad.
Right.
Money
hey, Shad,
stuff.
we want to spend X amount of millions on this guy, and he's never turned him down.
Right. And you trust the football side of things that when they're coming to him saying we need to spend X on X, that he's going to say yes. Right? Like, that's what we've seen from Shad Khan and his ownership here in Jacksonville. You come to him and say, we need to spend this much money on this guy. He says, all right, make it happen. Right? That's been the way that he's handled all this. I don't understand the concern about Shad still being involved. He's never had his fingers on the football stuff. He's never had the right people, it feels like, in charge of the football stuff. Not entirely, but it does feel like there's the opportunity for that to be here with all the changes they made. And I do think it's interesting. Today is the first opportunity for the media to address Tony Boselli in his new role.
Yeah.
And what exactly that's going to be, because he's got something going on. EVP, whatever that role is going to be, how exactly is that going to work? Today's the first opportunity to ask that out loud.
Right. And look, I think people felt that Shad Khan let Trent Baalke had that Svengali hold over him, right? That Trent was going to tell him he believed anything Trent said. Well, clearly he is trying to break out of that mold. Even if you accept that as absolute gospel truth, and I'm sure there are elements of that, right?
Yeah.
But let's not kid ourselves. Shad is a billionaire that has his own ideas about things, I'm sure. But that now you've got new GM, you've got the EVP, like you said, you got a new head coach. These are all new ideas. It's not like any one of these guys should have that kind of hold. In fact, I think it makes the most sense ultimately for Tony Boselli, if he stays with the organization in this capacity for a long time, to kind of grow into that role as kind of like the overseer, the conduit, like Shad, don't worry about it. Let him report to me kind of thing. Not that Tony's going to tell you who to go after in free agency necessarily, but just to make sure that everybody's operating from the same playbook, which it sometimes felt like they weren't in the Peterson-Baalke era.
Yeah, I look at it and say, I think Shad Khan's willingness to trust Baalke is the reason to believe that he doesn't meddle in football stuff ever. Right? He was willing to defer the football decisions to someone else always. The person he was willing to defer to seemed to have been the wrong guy. And we were all waiting for him to open his eyes to, this is not the right guy to trust in these situations, Shad. We all wanted him to get there. Well, he's there now. And so now there's going to be different voices, but it's not so that Shad can have more input on the football thing. I can't understand that concern from fans at this point.
All right, I wanted to take a look at this one. Tone, somebody sent in, about one way they're looking at changing things up this offseason. Let's put it for the Jags. We got a few minutes here before we got to hit the break. We want to make sure we're on time for James Gladstone speaking in about 15 minutes down at the Miller Electric Center. I'll condense this. He says basically doesn't have the confidence ETN is the back of the future. Okay, fine. I don't think that's unreasonable. All right. He's in the last year of his deal on the fifth-year option this year. Can we package ETN and Gabe Davis to offset that contract? Well, you could. I don't know how much you're going to get for either one or both. And good luck finding a team that's going to take on both of those guys. Mm-hmm. And what are they going to give you for a running back with 1 year left on his rookie deal? And it's a fifth-year option. What are they going to give you for Gabe Davis? When next year is when the money really kicks in for Gabe Davis's contract. So I don't know. Let's say, what's the high end? A fourth, a third on the high end? If you could package those guys, I don't even know if you get that, quite frankly. But then draft our guy at pick 5 and dip back into the draft and get Ashton Genty from Boise State. Okay. So I asked for some clarification. They said, playing it safe or getting our guy at 5 would be like taking a Mason Graham or a Will Johnson. Okay, fine. Then what is dipping back for Genty if he falls, he says, if he falls as predicted? I haven't seen anybody predict him falling out of the first round or even into the 20s, right? Occasionally you see him slide down there. I've seen plenty of people suggest that he might go in the top 12. I saw a piece over at Sports Illustrated with Daniel Jeremiah and who was it? I can't remember. Daniel Jeremiah and maybe it was Todd McShay, and the author was interviewing them on different draft-related topics, and they're talking, I think it was maybe McShay who said, in terms of great players in this draft, you don't have to go too far to get to Genty on that list. All it takes is for one team to, fall in love with that guy and take him 8th or 9th. And I'm not talking about a specific team who owns that pick right now, okay? But you looked it up. Based on the draft chart, if you wanted to get to, let's say, 14, which seems like I would bet he might be off the board by then, but let's say he's there. That seems like, okay, that's a reasonable range to get to. Jags' second-round pick and both are thirds is what the value is to get there. So do you want Mason Graham and Ashton Genty and not have a pick until the fourth round? I don't.
I
can have Mason Graham, and I could take maybe Travion Henderson or Marion Hampton if I want to go higher end. Or if I want to wait to the fourth round, I might get Dylan Sampson. Or there are a lot. This is such a running back deep class that no way am I packaging up premium picks to go up and get a running back.
No.
Just not doing it.
No, it would. The cost on that would be way, way too high. Now, if you want to say that the pick at 5 should be Genty, fine. Like, I don't agree with you.
Right. If you want to make the case for that, but
But if you're going to have Genty, you're going to have to pick him at 5 or trade down a small trade down so that you can stay in range to get him.
And they're not suggesting that. They're suggesting use 5, then jump back up and get Genty. That's a bridge too far.
The cost is too prohibitive.
I just don't think it's realistic that you'd be willing to, especially when, Tony Baselli said the focus has got to be on building the lines of scrimmage. I think this is going to be an organizational philosophy. Doesn't mean the first pick has to be a line of scrimmage player, but I can't see them going one line of scrimmage guy, a running back, and not having another pick until the fourth round.
No.
I don't think that's reasonable. So let's take a time out here. We'll break now, come back a few minutes before James Gladstone's expected to step to the mic. You'll hear his press conference coming up straight up in 11 minutes here on 1010XL and 92.5 on the radio. You can stream it on the Jaguars' various outlets as well with Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark. I'm Mike Dempsey. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. This is 1010XL.
Go Gators. Go Gators. Go Gators.
Your Gator Nation radio station. Go Gators.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
Winter is almost over, and the Epic Florida heat is on its way. You need reliable air conditioning. Epic Cool Heating and Air is here. Take advantage of the Epic Gold membership program and use one of your 2 yearly tests of your entire AC system. You know it's going to be epically hot, so be epically prepared. Plus, no interest financing for 18 months. That's epic. Visit EpicHVACService.com today and trust the experts at Epic Cool Heating and Air to stay epically cool. That's EpicHVACService.com.
Experience the high-flying action truly unlike anything on the Supercross circuit at Daytona Supercross. Saturday, March 1st. Side-by-side intensity of Monster Energy AMA Supercross on the most demanding track of the circuit. Get close to the action as riders get pushed to the limits on the Ricky Carmichael designed track. For a chance to win tickets to Daytona Supercross, answer this. Who won the 450 final Supercross at Daytona in 2024? Text the winner's last name to 641-1010 now.
This is the sound of real people across Florida betting on sports. It's the sound of winning your bet, only on Hard Rock Bet. And if your first bet doesn't win, you get up to $100 back to try again. Hard Rock Bet is Florida's only legal sports book. Your home for betting hoops for any sport you choose. Download Hard Rock Bet now and get 2 shots at your first bet. Win, or you'll get up to $100 back as a bonus bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to play. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Jaguars Today.
You're settled into a Dream Finders Homes Monday, the flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
February is Cancer Prevention Month, and Ackerman Cancer Center will help you take charge of your well-being. Their new location at World Golf Village off I-95 now provides screenings for prostate, bladder, and colorectal cancers. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Hi, this
This is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE NeoGraft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The Gators men's basketball team were in a tight game that got a little too close for comfort Saturday in Baton Rouge, finding themselves down by 6 going into the half. The Gators came out in the second half to out-rebound and, more importantly, outscore the Tigers to secure the win 79-65. Head coach Todd Golden spoke postgame on his team's resilient efforts.
In the second half, I thought we imposed our will on them a little bit. Much more efficient offensively, obviously scoring 48 points. Defensively, I thought we drilled down, did a better job of taking away their high pick and roll game and getting out to shooters and making it uncomfortable for them to score. You know, a big part of this win for us tonight was just imposing our will on the glass. Plus 15 on the glass, gave ourselves some second chance opportunities, limited their second chance opportunities compared to ours. So great win for us, really proud of our group. Now we got to get ready for Tuesday.
Gators will next travel to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs tomorrow night. Tip off at 7, catch the game live at 10 a.m. It's 57 degrees at 10:54. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, 5 minutes out, Tony. It's Coughlin time. It should be starting right now. That we're on Coughlin time, but it's on Gladstone time, which is normal person time. At least I presume it'll be on Gladstone time today, hopefully, as right now we're all awaiting him stepping to the microphone at the Miller Electric Center and firing up his opening comments, his thoughts. And again, you'll hear him here. If you are streaming us right now, we appreciate you in the YouTube virtual studio. But just know you're not going to hear that or see that on that end of things. And you'll only hear it over the radio broadcast. You can listen to any of the Jaguars streaming platforms to listen in or even watch, for that matter, like on the YouTube channel, Twitter, what have you. And then you can jump right back in with your thoughts on that. We're asking you this morning, your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day, your reaction to James Gladstone being hired. For the people that follow the process, young, sharp guy, he's been considered one of the two stronger candidates along with Ian Cunningham for a good part of this process, right? But that didn't guarantee anything. Again, we don't sit in the interviews, Tony. If I had a nickel for every time somebody wrote Ian Cunningham is all but the GM, I'd have at least 65 cents. I swear to goodness, man. Yeah. I mean, so everybody tries to get ahead of these stories, or a lot of people try to get ahead of these stories sometimes. We don't need to anymore. Yeah. James Gladstone is the guy, and as George wrote, he sounds like an ultra-sharp guy, great demeanor, confidence. Everything I've seen shows that. I love the transparency and focus on communication. Oh, that's great. Now, how often do you think we're going to actually hear from James Gladstone once he gets a job?
A couple times a year.
Yeah. That's about it. I would hope. During the draft, you'll have a few of those, and
draft,
right before
free agency, like end of season. Basically that'll be it.
But no more than any Trent Baalke or any other typical GM. They don't. With the exception of Jerry Jones, who I guess. Even he's not really the GM. Steven is technically the GM. Those guys don't speak.
Steven doesn't talk nearly as much as Jerry.
No, he doesn't. Jerry talks every week, at minimum, multiple times a week. But whatever. I don't need to hear from them all the time.
No.
As long as, we're going to be hearing from the coach. I'm sure we'll hear from Baselli plenty as well. And that will be a good, I would encourage Tony to do that as frequently as possible, because fans trust Tony. They trust that he has the organization's best interest at heart. I'm not saying Liam Cohen doesn't now, but Liam Cohen, you can look at it as like, hey, he's a hired gun, right? I mean, and granted, at once upon a time, so was Tony Vaselli.
Yeah.
But then he played a Hall of Fame career here in Jacksonville, has been a part of this organization in multiple capacities, and it's clear where his heart lies with this team. So I don't think he's going to let, or as much as it's within his power, he's not going to let any nonsense develop. And I think having these guys coming together at the same time is a big key to that, right? Gladstone knows what he's getting into. Liam Cohen signs off on this hire. They should be on the same page from day one.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I think the fan base can feel there's some kind of momentum, right, to what they've done in this offseason. Part of the excitement should be, that the end of the last segment we were talking about, someone was concerned about Shad Khan and the football things, and his hands are still on this stuff. As I expressed, I'm not worried about Shad Khan's hands being on the football stuff. His hands are on the money, right? And he's been willing to spend it. They needed better football people. That side of it needed to improve for this team to
spend it on better players.
Right, to ever find any kind of sustained success. That part of the process had to improve. It's not Shad getting in the way of the team doing better. It's they haven't had the right football people making the football decisions. Well, they at least have the opportunity. We'll see. And yeah, I'm excited about whatever Tony Baselli's role is going to be, as the fans should be. Right? Like, he is kind of the voice of the fans in the room. It feels like, at least to this point, supporting the process going in that kind of direction. That's all good. We'll see if everyone's so new at everything they're going to be asked to do. I don't know if they're good at it or not, but I'm excited about the prospect of all of them doing it together and learning a little bit on the job. I'm okay with all those things. I'm excited about the direction the organization is going, and I'm hoping it's going to pay big dividends for everybody, including the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence.
We don't know if it's going to work.
No.
But I think Tom McManus said it over the weekend quite well. Until I know it's not going to work, I'm going to presume it's going to work. Right? Why not? Well, I mean, look, if they'd retained Balky, it was going to be my fervent hope that I would have had doubts, but I would have hoped that every move he made would be a good one this offseason. Now we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about a bunch of people going, we got somebody in the organization who's trying to undercut somebody else. This guy's trying to prop up his player versus that player. Hopefully now everyone comes in is just a Jaguar player. It's not a Balky guy. It's not a Peterson guy. It's just a Jaguar guy, and they're on the same page. And hopefully, both Liam Cohen, but particularly James Gladstone's experience in the scouting department leads to better selections, at least primarily in the draft. Let's go live to the Miller Electric Center with James Gladstone.
As we first and foremost introduce
conference for new general manager James Gladstone. You just heard Tony Vaselli there talking about the main thing, Tony, win football games, right? And that's all. This is great. We love winning the offseason. We love being excited about new blood. Let's win football games. I mean, we were pretty excited when Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson were here and the Jags made the playoffs in 2022, right? So at that point, it doesn't matter anymore, right? It matters not what you do, not what your name is, not how much experience you have, unless it is a detraction to getting something done. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be. Anyway, there you go. Some thoughts from James Gladstone, Shad Khan, Tony Vaselli there as that continues. If you want to stream that on the Jaguars platforms, you're certainly welcome to. Glad we could bring that to you on the airwaves of 1010XL 92.5 FM. I've got my notes. Tony does as well, and we'll go through what stood out to us from what James Gladstone had to say. We'll take a final time out here and continue on with more Jaguars Today straight ahead on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Let's take a look inside 1010XL.
Who wants the grand tour? That would be terrific. That would be great.
We have the drill in the morning.
There your music.
Jaguars Today from 10 to noon.
Good.
Helmets and heels until 2.
Yes.
XL Prime Time and the Franchi Show afternoons.
This is great.
Then Baloo and Hacker take you into the night.
All in one location.
1010XL.
Hi, I'm Laura Renstrom from The Players, and we're proud to support the Boys and Girls Club on their mission to equip Northeast Florida youth with the skills and tools they need to reach their full potential. 15 days till The Players.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Epic Florida Heat is on its way. Epic Cool Heating and Air will check out your AC system and keep you epically cool. Stay epically comfortable and visit EpicHVACService.com. That's EpicHVACService.com.
Dream Finders Homes Monday.
Jaguars Today.
1010XL celebrates African Americans who positively impacted the First Coast. I'm RJ Saunders, and I'll share Black History Month stories with you throughout February. Black History Month on 1010XL is brought to you by Instant Keys and McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Staying alive one night of the Bee Gees, a tribute like you've never seen before. Experience the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist performed live. March 6th at Jack Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Before displaying one of the greatest aerial acts in NBA dunk contest history, D. Brown was pumping his kicks at the Bowl School right here in Jacksonville. From there, Brown would go on to play for Jacksonville University, where his skills would land him as the number 19 pick in the 1990 NBA draft. Brown played for 12 years in the league for 3 different ball clubs. and now is a part of the front office of the Clippers G League affiliate. I'm RJ Saunders, and this Black History Month profile is brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, professional locksmith service.
Pizza to Tea here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find the scratch kitchen that comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Come on, somebody.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, Jaguars Today down the stretch here on this Monday. James Gladstone being introduced as the new general manager. Press conference still ongoing. By the way, with questions for the rest of the panel there, apparently Mark Lamping said something to the effect of, I'm only here to raise the average age of the the group.
Yeah.
Grant Udinski's not there, the new offensive coordinator. He's 28 or maybe 29, something like that. He's in his 20s. So he's got a 2 as the first number.
Yeah.
Anyway, here are things that stood out to me. Let me know what stood out to you as well. Tony Pacelli does not like being called a buffer. He did not like that a whole lot. It did like, hey, Tony, what is your role? I'm just kind of the buffer, make everybody feel good here. All right. Anyway, I thought the one sentence or phrase that stood out to me the most came very early, maybe in James Gladstone's first answer or one of the first ones after he thanked everybody for the opportunity and what they've done to get him here. And he said he wants to help bring Liam Cohen's vision to life, right? So if you're wondering about, is there going to be some kind of power struggle? Like Balky wants to draft so-and-so. Maybe Peterson wanted this guy. Maybe that. It sounds more like, here's what Liam Cohen is trying to get accomplished. This is my vision for the offense. We'll lean into the vision for the defense as well from Anthony Campanile. And here's my vision, though, for the overall team, the kind of players I want, the kind of offense I want to run. Now you go find me the people, according to your scouting eye, that fit that description, and then we'll hash it out, that pure collaboration thing. Like, to me, we can get to that, but there needs to be a more definitive answer, and I think there would be. Because, again, if it comes down to it, the question asked basically, if you're in the third round and one guy wants this and another guy wants this and a third guy wants that, how do you decide? His answer is pure collaboration. Well, okay, but you can collaborate and then still have a difference of opinion on what the right next step is going to be. I think they'll work that out. I think, again, the most important thing standing out to me is that he is being hired, James Gladstone, to fulfill the vision that Liam Cohen has. Liam Cohen does have, to me, a little bit more power, let's say. I'm not saying that he's Gladstone's boss, but he is going to drive the ship in the direction of how this roster is going to be built, and then it's Gladstone's job to go out and execute it. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's basically the same thing he said in the short video the Jaguars sent out on Friday, right? The first time that he went in to meet the coaching staff and everyone in the same room together, and he gave basically that message. It's like, there's a vision for what we're going to be doing here. We're all going to be going in the same direction, your inputs included, and whatever we're going to be doing, we're going to try to meet that, right? Like, and so, yeah, the press conference today was him repeating that in front of everybody. Whoever didn't see the video that the Jaguars put out, just a 30-second video, whatever, where he walked into a meeting room where all the coaches and assistants were in there together, and he said essentially the same thing. It's like, we're all in this together. We want everybody's ideas, and we're going to make it all fit, right? And we're going to be pulling in the same direction with everything that we do. It's, it's the right message for someone taking over a job like this.
Right.
Like, I don't know what other message you could send out there that would be more right than that kind of message to begin in this kind of position. But, yeah, I'm not surprised that it was a focal point of what he had to say today as well.
Also, game on, if it's not already on a bunch of T-shirts, will be shortly.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's going to be the new phrase, 10 toes down, whatever you want to talk about. It's going to be their thing.
Game on.
See, there you go. We'll hear that a lot around these parts, I have a feeling. How much alignment is there between you and Liam Cohen? Because that question got brought up. How much could they have really interacted in their different roles with the Rams at the time? And the way James Gladstone answered it today, Tony, was that we're going to be aligned by our mutual experience of seeing how the Rams did it. In other words, that's what our point of reference is going to be. It doesn't matter if we sat there late at night huddling up going, hey, one day you'll be the coach, I'll be the GM, and this is how we're going to do it. It's more like, hey, we learned from an organization that had a lot of success over the last several years, the time we were there, and continuing on, that this is how you can approach. This is how you evaluate players. This is how you stack a roster. This is the kind of things you look for. And so that is, I take it more that the alignment is a mutual experience in the same environment more so than, necessarily. I'm not saying they're not friends. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that they've been plotting for years to reunite one day on a different team and we'll run the world.
No, and he acknowledged it's like, we weren't doing that. Right. Like, we didn't look at each other and say, hey, you'll be the coach and I'll be the GM and we'll make this happen here in 5 years. It's like there wasn't any of that. Well, they're both getting that opportunity now. It's not like either of them would have ducked that that's eventually where they wanted to be.
Sure.
Right? Like head coach and GM, it's not like they haven't had that in front of them at some point in their careers. That's where I want to wind up, is as a GM and me as a head coach. And that they get to do it together for the first time, that's fine. And they've at least had the experience of working with one another before in some capacity. And again, the alignment thing we were talking about a moment ago, it does feel like that's real for now. I don't know when the first, speed bump with any of that's going to be, but I'm not surprised it's not 3 days into it. That they're talking about the things where we disagree. And I'm also not surprised that we don't have exact clarity on who would be making what decision at what point in the draft, right? Again, all of this is so young that they're going to have to work all of those things out. But I don't have any concern that they're going to be able to figure that out. Like, I think the process feels like it's good enough right now that I'm comfortable with whatever it's going to wind up being. I'm good with it because there is clarity, at least to some degree.
One point that we did not carry on the air as the introductory press conference just wrapped up a few moments ago. All right. But Mark Lamping, president of the Jacksonville Jaguars, was asked about the stadium in the future. Obviously on its way. Now it's all been approved. He said initial construction began 45 days ago in earnest. So whatever they need to be doing at this stage, they're already doing, apparently, and that they're 30 to 45 days away from submitting to the NFL their proposal for a temporary home for 2027. Remember, it's only going to be 1 year. It's going to be reduced capacity in 2026, 2027 in Gainesville or Orlando, and then opening things up in 2028. Said there's a long way to go and a lot of back and forth, meaning I'm sure negotiating between Gainesville, Orlando, Jacksonville, where this is going to end up.
Yeah.
But he thinks the May owners meetings may be kind of a good point of not necessarily a deadline, but kind of an artificial deadline. They'd like to have that ready to propose. So another month to month and a half of work on that from their end. A couple of other things. I know Les Snead playing a huge role in this, right? Baselli talking about his contacts with Les Snead and being able to call on him and get a fair evaluation of James Gladstone. And I thought one thing that really stood out to him is that James Gladstone said, you've got this whole thing turning over in Jacksonville. You've got all this draft capital. It's not necessarily an ideal situation where sometimes the GM gets hired and they get to hire their coach and they have seemingly a lot more power, but he's a very young first-time guy. And he said that, probably other teams have approached or at least shown some interest, and Snead said, this is the one, quote, it's time. Like, this time for you now. This is an opportunity that you shouldn't pass up.
Yeah.
Does it give you everything possibly maybe that you want initially? Maybe not, right? But how many 34-year-olds get a chance to be in this position and to have a pretty decent roster, at least we feel, better than a 4-win roster. They've expressed that as well. And to come into a circumstance now where you've got all these draft picks, more than any other team. Now, again, number of draft picks, not necessarily as important as the quality of those draft picks, but this year, you got, the 5th pick in most rounds, certainly the 5th pick in the first round, 36th pick overall. So you're going to have a lot of premium picks, the extra 3rd, the extra 4th this year. So, coming from an organization that is drafted very well, even if they haven't had first-round picks in recent years, you hope that they can make some hay with that.
Yeah, look, and it's good to hear all the things that he's willing to point out about the reasons why he's happy to be in Jacksonville, right? And I think everything that he said is real. I agree with him. I don't look at this roster and say, yeah, it's a 4-win roster. I've seen 4-win rosters in Jacksonville. I've seen plenty of them. Last year's roster is not one of those. That's why everyone is so frustrated with how everything went.
Win half the games you lost by 1 score or less.
Right.
And then you're a 9-win team.
Right. I've been so exposed to, I know when we're going into the season and my expectations are, yeah, they might win 5. Right? I've had plenty of those years. Last year was not one of those years. That's why there's all the frustration, and it remained going into the offseason. What do you mean you're only firing the coach? What? Did you see what just happened? The thing that y'all put together is way better than something has got to change, seriously change, for this organization to have any kind of chance. Well, a bunch of things have seriously changed, and so the organization has a chance going forward. I agree with him. I don't think it's a 4-win roster. I think trying to figure out exactly what the expectation should be for 2025 is still unclear at this point in time, but I certainly think it's much higher than, we'll wind up with a top 10 pick. I think it's how do they compete for the South this year, and that should be the expectation of the team.
Last comment from Gladstone I just wanted to remark upon. It was actually 2. One was a follow-up. He said he wants to prioritize people and players who are intangibly rich. And that to me sounds like if you're a football player, like intangibles are the makeup, what you're like on the practice field, what you're like in the locker room. But he then in a follow-up said, think skill sets on the field that you would deem intangible. So I guess maybe feel for the game, you know what I mean? Like feel for diagnosing plays, recognizing coverages, what have you, because intangibles can encompass a wide range of things.
The instincts of a football player,
That's what it sounds like more so than, hey, is he a good fit in the locker room and everybody's favorite guy kind of thing. I'm not saying that you don't want good guys, but you get the idea. All right, with that, our time coming to an end, let's welcome in Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
All right, Lauren Brooks is here. Good morning, Lauren.
Hello, good morning.
We asked
almost
people
afternoon.
Today. Yeah, it is almost, but not quite. We asked people today what the reaction is to Gladstone being named the GM, and overwhelmingly positive. There's some, hey, wait and see, which is fine, right? We don't know because they haven't done anything yet, but I mean, look, for all the folks who've been complaining about the Jags never do anything, Shad Khan is lazy, stuck in his ways, he's going to take the low-hanging fruit. You've got everything. It may not have come in the exact time frame that you expected to be. You've gotten basically everything you wanted. You got a brand new coaching staff, new front office. Baselli is the EVP, new ways of thinking about things. So can we not at least be hopeful on this day?
You should be, I think, in listening to James Gladstone. I can understand the questions about him and, like you said, all these first-time people. But I think after listening to him, you realize why people were raving about him and his communication style. So to me, they've got a lot to work or a lot of work to do considering the combine starts today. But I do think that he sounds like he is an excellent communicator. We know that he has a master's in that type of field. And so I'm more excited now than I was when he was originally hired last week.
All right, so I imagine you'll be reacting to that. What else do you have coming up today?
Yes, we are efforting for Ryan Clark to join us very early in the program at 12:15, and so hopefully we can track him down, have him join us, and then, we will certainly react to all things James Gladstone. Found out there at the end of the presser that his wife is about to have their second baby. She's very pregnant, so talk about a whirlwind life. Living in Los Angeles as of last week, and then now moving to Jacksonville, already have one child, another on the way.
Your cost of living just went way down, and your salary went way up.
That's
you
right.
can afford that baby, have a few more.
Yes, exactly.
All right, LB, have a great show.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Lauren Brooks and company coming up with helmets and heels. Tomorrow, we'll tweet it out later on this afternoon, kicking around some different ideas for the Tuesday top 5. We hope to have Hayes Carline join us live from Indianapolis at the Combine. And again, Liam Cohen's going to speak at 11 tomorrow. James Gladstone to follow. Don't know how detailed that will be, but we'll endeavor to carry some of that at least for you here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM. So that'll do it for us. Stick around for more coverage of the changing face of the Jaguars organization all day here on 1010XL. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. We're back at it again tomorrow from 10 to noon on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
With that,